Hi everyone, welcome to Talk with Chi. Thank you to my subscribers for always tuning in and watching my videos. And if you're watching this video for the first time, kindly hit the like, share and the subscribe button. Thank you. Today we're going to be talking about unlearning internalized misogyny in women. And this topic is very important because as African women, we are in a highly misogynistic country or continent. So that is why it's very important for us to unpack all this. So I'll start by explaining what misogyny is. Misogyny is the hatred towards women, the hatred or prejudice towards women. And internalized misogyny is the subconscious acceptance of misogyny as a result of programming or indoctrination. Yes, and this is what has gone on for many centuries in Africa and in Nigeria. Let me even speak about Nigeria as a country. We have a lot of internalized misogyny in us as women. Yes, because this is what we have been programmed into. And that is why it's important for me to talk about this topic so that we can start learning to unpack all those internalized misogyny. There are some things that you are not even recognizing as internalized misogyny. That is what I'm going to talk about in this video. So stay with me till the end. Unlearning internalized misogyny in women is recognizing and addressing the subconscious belief women may hold toward themselves, which makes them hate each other, compete with each other, or bring each other down. And this is what society has ingrained in us as women. And this is why we need to unlearn this internalized misogyny. So let's talk about internalized misogyny that you didn't know. You probably didn't know that it was internalized misogyny. Maybe you've been doing it as a woman. You didn't know that this is part of it. Let's talk about it. The first one I'm going to talk about is calling successful women prostitutes, assuming that successful women are into prostitution, especially a woman living alone, driving a very nice car, being able to comfortably afford her lifestyle, calling her a prostitute, just assuming she's a prostitute. As a woman, you are seeing another successful woman and you're saying, I shall now. There is something wrong with you. You have internalized misogyny that you need to work on. We are not in the 19th century anymore, or we're not in the 70th century anymore. Women are working hard to make their money. Women are working hard to make better lives for themselves. So not every woman that is successful that is into prostitution. The whole idea or the whole mentality that this idea birthed from is internalized misogyny. If there was nothing like misogyny, you would not assume that a woman that is successful must have sold her body to get that success. I mean, women are making it in this part of the world. Where are you? Why are you dulling? Why do you have that mentality that a successful woman must be selling her body? It's internalized misogyny you are dealing with. So you need to start unlearning and unpacking that mentality. Okay? The second internalized misogyny you probably didn't know that it was internalized misogyny is joining men to ask a victim of rape, maybe a victim of rape or violence or anything. Joining men to ask a victim of rape, sexual violence, sexual harassment, what were you wearing? You as a woman, you are asking a victim of rape, what were you wearing? Can't you see that there is a problem there? Can't you see that you are part of the problem that we are trying to solve? If you as a woman is asking another woman, what were you wearing? You chose to victim blame. Instead of addressing the main issue, you are choosing to victim blame another woman. Then there is a problem with you. You have a lot of internalized misogyny in you that you need to work on. And this is why Africa is not moving forward. This is why Nigeria is not moving forward. Because when someone is being victimized, you are focusing on the victim. Instead of you to focus on the perpetrator, you are focusing on the victim, asking the victim, what were you wearing? Blaming the victim. Who told you that it is okay to victim blame? I know in a country like Nigeria, women are disadvantaged. Everything is a woman's fault. Her husband leaves her, it is her fault. Her husband dies, it is her fault. She gets raped, it is her fault. She gets brutalized, it is her fault. Everything is a woman's fault in this part of the world. I understand that. You as a woman, you know that you are not going to escape these things. So why are you joining the society to prejudice another woman? You are a woman, no, it can happen to you tomorrow. It can happen to you tomorrow. God forbid you can get victimized tomorrow. Would you want them to be asking you what were you wearing instead of them to address the real issue? So why are you joining the society to ask a victim what were you wearing? Is that the issue on ground? It does not matter what she's wearing. Have you not seen children being raped? 2-year-old being raped. Would you ask that 2-year-old what were you wearing? Have you not seen these Muslim women that cover up all through being raped? So it is not about what they are wearing, it is about the perpetrator. And if we continue to shift goalposts and keep asking the victim, what were you wearing? These crimes will continue to go on because you are not addressing the root problem. The third internalized misogyny, you probably didn't know it was that, is seeing unmarried or single women as worthless because they are not attached to men. As a society in general, we really need to unpack this. We need to unpack this. Like, we need to just take it and throw it into lagoon and forget about this mentality forever. Because the mentality does not even make sense. Because in this society that we are in, I don't know why they see unmarried or single women, especially single women that have crossed the age of 30 to 40, as worthless because they are not married. Look, let me tell you now, your value is not attached to any status. It is not attached especially to your marital status. You don't have to be married to be valuable. You as a human, you are valuable. And you as a woman especially, you are valuable because God placed value on you. God does not create anything that does not have value. So do not let society lie to you and make you feel like you are worthless because you are not married. No, you don't need to be attached to any man to feel you're valuable, okay? So as a woman, if you are seeing other women as valueless because you're married and they are not married, and you're seeing them as worthless, she doesn't have a man, then there's something wrong with you. There is something seriously wrong with you. You are dealing with a lot of internalized misogyny, and you need to unpack it. You need to carry that mentality and throw it into the lagoon where it belongs. Everyone that God created has value in them. God does not create anything that does not have value. So society attaching a woman's worth to a man does not make any sense. It has never made any sense, and it will never make any sense to me. Another internalized misogyny I want to talk about, that's the fourth one, is cutting a widow's hair when her husband dies. Cutting a widow's hair because of tradition. I'm an Igbo woman, and Igbo tradition do this a whole lot. I mean, the prejudice, the hatred that widows go through in this part of the world. See, for example, see Mohbad's widow. Omo, I'm feeling for that girl, Omo. What she went through. Imagine, and they have money. Oh. Now imagine an average widow that don't have money. Imagine what she will go through in her family. See what Mohbad's widow went through. From society was just telling her, she's the one that killed her husband. Go and do DNA. Go and do this. What is your business? The woman just lost her husband. Let her be. We all know how it panned out. We don't know how it played out. So why do you need to prejudice that poor widow before you feel good about yourself? Why? In this part of the world, the way widows are being treated, I hate it. Especially this Igbo tradition where you have to cut off the widow's hair. Why? A lot of tradition that I try to question. Why? And you would see that in all this tradition, it is always women championing this tradition. You will never see men. Yeah, men are the one that made this tradition, but you will see women. Women are the executioner. They're the ones that are executing this tradition. You will see they're the ones that will carry scissors and be cutting that widow's hair. Like, what is wrong with you all? There are a lot of things that you need to unpack. This is internalized misogyny. Why do you need to cut off a woman's hair just because she lost her husband? Why don't you do it for a man that lost his wife? Why? Why is it only women? Why is it only women? Because there are some things that I need to question. Why is it only women? Why don't you do it for men that lost their wives? And women that are championing this kind of behavior, it does not make any sense. Why do you need to be at the forefront of causing your fellow woman harm, cutting her hair, then following the world to tell her, you killed your husband, this one, that one? Why can't you just let widows be? They're already going through a lot by losing their husband. Why do you need to add to it? The way widows are treated in this part of the world, I do not like it. And it's because of misogyny. Because of the hatred you all have towards women. That is why you treat women that way. The last internalized misogyny I'm going to talk about. Anyway, I'm going to say that this is going to be a 2-series video. This is the part 1. And in the part 2, I'm going to continue it because there are a lot to talk about. So stay with me through this part 1. Then part 2, we will continue the rest. But let me talk about the last point. The last one is saying that men are polygamous in nature and giving excuses for their philandering behaviors. It's always women that champion this mindset. Before you can see 10 men saying men are polygamous in nature, you will see 20 women saying it already. Women are always the one championing this mindset, this toxic mindset, this toxic behavior in men. It's always women enabling them, championing them. Why? These male-centered women are really causing a lot of havoc, honestly. Saying men are polygamous in nature. No, they are not polygamous in nature. I do not believe that nonsense. That is a way of giving excuses for their indiscipline. Yeah, it's indiscipline they are dealing with. They don't have discipline. So instead of taking accountability and working on themselves, they rather make themselves feel good about themselves by saying God created them that way and they are wired to have multiple women. Nobody is wired to have multiple women. Okay? It's the society that you are in that is feeding you with that kind of mentality. Nobody is hired to be promiscuous. Okay? Nobody is wired to be promiscuous. So stop with that mentality. And women, please stop enabling these cheating men. Stop it. It annoys me. It infuriates me when I hear women say this the most. It's internalized misogyny you are dealing with, though. It's internalized misogyny, and that is why you people stay in terrible marriages. That is why you people stay in marriages that your husband have cheated with 1 million people, because you already have this internalized misogyny in you that men are polygamous in nature. That is why you excuse bad behavior of these men, because they are nobody is polygamous in nature. I will never be a party to that mentality. I will never be a party to that mentality. There are men that do not cheat. They have never cheated and they will never cheat. They exist. They exist. What you people are dealing with is indiscipline. That is all. That is all. So don't sit here and tell me they are polygamous in nature. Nobody is polygamous in nature. Okay? So that is it. Stay with me for part 2. We are going to be talking about more internalized misogyny that you probably did not know. So let me advise you as I end this video, as women, please, let's try to deal with this internalized misogyny. I know it's not going to be easy, but let's take it one step at a time. Let's start unpacking these harmful ideologies that society has ingrained in us. Let's start unpacking them and leaving them where they are supposed to be, in the gutter. Okay? So thank you for listening to me. I remain your host. If you find this video interesting, kindly hit the like, share, and subscribe button. Thank you and bye.